Professor Arifuzzaman, we are starting now, okay?
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another series, another episode of Creativity Cafe for an intellectual adda with me, Dr. Moin, a warm conversation that makes us think, reflect, and grow. Today, we continue with episode 2 of Emotional Intelligence Masterclass, Leading with Empathy and Humanity. I'm honored to have Professor Arifuzzaman with me to navigate this session. Professor Arifuzzaman is one of Asia's strongest voices in emotional intelligence, leadership development, and human-centered learning. His approaches to emotional intelligence through the lens of psychology, neuroscience, and organizational behavior makes him the ideal guide for today's deep dive. Professor Arifuzzaman, this is our second episode of the Masterclass, so welcome back to another show.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Moin, and I'm really excited again in this week. Hope we can create some impact for the society and for the audience as well.
Okay, so let's dive into the business as soon as we can. I'm going to ask you the first question because we have got a number of questions that I would like that you answer for our audience who are watching now and will be watching in the future. So how can we define emotional intelligence beyond buzzword? What I want to mean is that could you come up with some simplest, clearest, and most useful definition of EI?
Yeah, fantastic question. Like emotional intelligence, in a very simple term, it's an ability to understand the emotions, use them wisely, and respond to them in a smart manner that helps, not hurts, the career, relationship, and the well-being. So it's not a kind of soft talk or feeling good philosophy. It's a very much practical skill, and it's a practical skill, and that knowing what's happening inside you and what's happening inside others, and respond in the smartest manner. So that is actually emotional intelligence.
Okay, so it's kind of understanding us and understanding others and responding in a manner that is smart and effective and efficient. That's fantastic way to put it. So our next question, what are the core components of EI? I would like to understand that how do self-awareness, self-management, empathy, and social skills connect and support each other?
Yeah, so actually there are several models, there are several schools of thought on emotional intelligence, but no matter the way you go, these four pillars are always remain the most important factors or the components of emotional intelligence. As you have already mentioned, self-awareness is all about understanding your emotion, self-management, handling your emotion in the effective manner, and empathy, understanding others' emotion. And the last one and the top of it is actually the social skill, which is using emotion to build trust and influence. So all these four abilities actually shape every individual, the way they think and decide, lead, and connect. So these things are actually it has become most valuable nowadays actually.
Okay, so that's a good way to put it. So my question, and particularly the next question is it possible to be emotionally and rationally intelligent at the same time? Or, I mean, something like when you're thinking emotionally, are we actually completely not thinking rational aspect at all? Or how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's very intelligent question, I must say. And you know that to ask this kind of question, that is also an indication of high level of emotional intelligence, which you possess actually. Because uh, emotional intelligence is it's not a conflict between the emotion and the rationality. But sometimes we used to believe that the emotion cloud the judgment. But now we can understand that emotion actually it is there only to provide the data, and intelligence actually provide the direction. So this emotion is nothing but a signals for the brain. So it tells us what is dangerous, what is meaningful, what is important. So you must have the intelligence actually to decode the emotion and take the best decision. The problem is that people who are not emotionally intelligent enough, they actually take the decision based only on the emotion, and that is dangerous. But these two are actually go hand in hand. So these two always there to create the wise decision, because uh, the emotion actually provide you what's happening, most important thing, and intelligence actually decide how you respond to the situation. Let me give one simple example. This day I have learned it just recently, that there is a quote we call that honesty without kindness is actually brutality. So some people, they assume that they're very honest, and through their honesty they actually ignore the kindness. But emotional intelligent person, he will actually cover the both of the thing. So it is actually in the same it's the two sides of the brain. So emotional intelligent people, they actually use the emotion to understand what's happening, and they use the intelligence to take the right decision. So that's why they actually complement each other. They are not opposite of the thing. But the emotional intelligent people, they behave in such a manner that the emotion goes against them. Now the problem is that they behave in a very weird way, or they behave very unwise way, and after that they blame the emotion. But it is actually they have to take the blame on their shoulder, that they are not they have not prepared well enough to make the emotion and the intelligence work together.
Okay, that's fantastic. I think I'm trying to understand what you are saying now, and because I have got some a naval background, so I can use some metaphor to explain to see whether I've understood what you have told or not. So I think you are trying to say that emotion sort of work like a understanding emotions is work like a radar, so that we scan the scenario and we understand what's happening there. But then the intelligence or the rational aspect is the command center. So
Yes.
we make the decision and we run ourselves, not driven by emotion, but emotion help us to understand how we are feeling and how others are feeling. But then our command center decide how we should respond, so that we are not driven by emotion or taken over by emotion. Rather, we are using our judgment, our rational, so that we can manage it better. Is that right?
Yeah, fantastic. I think that it's a one of the uh, like very innovative way you have defined it. I believe that this way of definition should be included in the discussion in the academic literature, so that people coming from a very different background, they can also understand this. You have actually nailed it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much indeed as well. So my next question, I mean, I know that you run sessions where you talk about different tools that
Yes.
helps us understand our emotion and then manage it also. So can emotional intelligence be measured? That's my next question. And should it be? And if it can be measured, then what are the various tools exist today? And what are their limitations? Could you highlight
Yeah.
on these aspects?
Yeah, it can be measured, and like we might use the ability test is there, and behavioral assessment test is there. So we actually ask them different type of questions in different types of situations, what you have done, and we used to ask the question in a very different way, so that the audience, they cannot that just you know uh, give the answer such that they can make good marks. But the questions are asked in a very different angles. And also the last one is more important, that 360 feedback. So that we give them the questions on the self-awareness, but we give the same question to his peer, his boss, actually, especially. So to assess it, that whether properly he has assessed himself in the right manner or not. Because sometimes we say that we overestimate our self-awareness, self-management, but when you take the feedback from other people, like who are observing them, it becomes very easier for us to find out the blind spot. But I believe that the emotional intelligence score or test should be done only when we believe that this is used to for the people to give them some sort of guidance so that they can work on their blind spots and they can perform in a better manner. But it should never be used to label someone. So that's why you have to be really careful that why we're using this. So intention has to be very clear, because it has been found that the highly emotional intelligent people, they can take care of their emotion very well, and they always put themselves in the best manner in the company so that the company get the highest level of output from them, and they are very best at managing the relationship with other people. So that's why in the emotional intelligent workplace there are less conflicts, less problems. So we can test it actually.
Okay, thank you very much. I think you have covered it very, very well, and our audience will be definitely benefited by this thing. So now I'm coming to different models of emotional intelligence and how it is defined by different people, those who are remarkable in the areas. So Daniel Goleman, then Ruben Barron, or Peter Salavos, and John DeMeyer, some of the names that I understand they are contributing. So would you like to throw some lights around their model, that how they are approaching emotional intelligence, what is the similarities and differences, and just enlighten us more on this.
Yeah, it's a fantastic question, I must say, because we can take, you can use any of their models actually to test the emotional intelligence for behavioral change in a positive manner to make them more effective. So the first model was introduced by John D. Mayer and Peter Salovey. We call it actually Mayer-Salovey model, which actually tests the emotional ability. So it's kind of brain skills. So they focus more on the cognitive ability. And after that comes Daniel Goleman, who actually measured the emotional competence. So how the emotion affect their behavior at work. How do they behave? And the third one is actually Barron model, which focus on it focus on something very close to each other. It's emotional well-being, that how your emotion affects your day-to-day life. So three different lenses, but all the models actually take us to the same direction. It is nothing but understanding that how the emotion affect the thinking and action and the results of individual.
Okay, that's brilliant. Okay, so there is a sort of terminology that emotional literacy, and also we know that the well-known term emotional intelligence. What is actually the difference?
Yeah, I must say it's a very another interesting question, because that can help our audience to get out of a lot of misconceptions or misunderstanding about emotional intelligence. So emotional literacy is actually the first part of emotional intelligence, which takes us to the concept of emotional vocabulary. So for example, if I am emotionally literate, then I understand that, oh, I'm feeling angry. But emotional intelligence means what I'm doing with my anger. So it's not only about understanding, it's all about understanding why I'm angry. And second one is that how I should respond at this very moment. And mostly the emotional intelligent people, they use the emotion so that it can help them, not hurt them. Whereas the emotionally unintelligent people, maybe some of them are very much emotionally literate, but due to the lack of full emotional intelligence, they actually behave or respond in a manner that somehow down the line hurt their career, relationship, and their well-being.
So it's gonna be something like Titanic. They could see the tip of the iceberg, but they didn't realize that the depth of the iceberg. And so that was the collision. So normally we see sort of 11% or 9 to 11% tip of the iceberg, but most of the 89% or 90% is at the bottom. So it's like those who are emotional literacy, it means sometimes you can just recognize or understand very much tip of the iceberg, but you really do not know what is the core reason. And say, and you do not, because you do not know what is the core reason, you do not find out the appropriate strategy as well. So
yeah, so
that is also,
fantastic metaphor.
yeah,
Wonderful
that's
metaphor,
also,
I must say. Yeah.
yeah. So that's it. So emotionally intelligent people go beyond. So they are beyond literate, and they
So
go.
they go in the second part as well. So
Yeah,
like they are not only self-aware, so they are also good at self-management.
yeah, because and they also find out the why they are like say emotionally affected or something like that. That's another thing, or why somebody is emotionally affected. So
Yes.
that helps them to make a more effective strategy to respond to it. Okay, so that's really good discussion actually, and you have explained it very well. So I don't have much background on emotional intelligence, but still I'm understanding what you are saying. So okay, so next question that I'm going to ask you is how do cultures and context shape emotional intelligence? If I want to sort of little bit put you a context, so I would say that why does emotional intelligence look different in Asia, or does it actually look different in Asia and in the West, or across different communities?
Yeah, so that this question carries a lot of wisdom, I must say, because emotional intelligence without or ignoring the cultural context might be sometimes very dangerous, and then we might understand or we may lose the value of the emotional intelligence if we don't understand the cultural context. So we say that emotion is universal, but the expression is cultural. So for example, in one culture, expressing whatever you are feeling is we consider it as very healthy, but in another culture, staying calm is considered as maturity. In some workplaces, speaking up resonates with confidence, but in another workplace, maybe when you are listening, it actually indicates that you are showing respect. So uh, the principles actually remain same, but the behavior varies in different cultures. So I must say that cultural intelligence actually strengthens the emotional intelligence. So we must understand the cultural context to make ourselves a better corporate or better performer. Because understanding the emotional intelligence only it gives you the not the full part of interacting with people actually. So that's why nowadays we are introducing another term that is called CQ, the measuring the cultural intelligence through this CQ means cultural quotient. So that is also very important. But uh, but understanding the cultural context, you must actually understand the emotional intelligence first. Then the CQ will actually strengthen your emotional intelligence.
So you are trying to take back me sort of within a time machine, and I'm going back sort of 25 years ago when I was doing my MBA at MIST, and obviously I did another MBA here in the UK. But at that time, I think we had a module which was known as business communication, and part of that module there was a topic, very interesting topic, that is cross-cultural communication. And I think emotional intelligence was not that popular at that time, so it was not part of our curriculum at the time. But now what I understand that yes, so that cross-cultural communication gave us some understanding about how we need to understand the cultural divergence, and we need to adapt our communication to be more effective. But what I am understanding now, the way you are placing it, sort of emotional intelligence is the nucleus or the center of the circle, and cultural knowledge is the around the circle. So when we are aware of both, we can really adapt our communication, and that is powerful but also culturally relevant, right?
Yeah. So I think that
Okay.
cultural intelligence actually makes your responses more bulletproof, I should say.
Okay.
Kind of.
Okay, that's fine. So these are the things, like obviously if you are working in various roles, like say negotiation, or say United Nations, various peacekeeping operation, or some of the roles where negotiation is important, where you are leading a change within a multinational company where people from various cultures, they're working. So if you have this kind of knowledge, I think and that will be highly appreciated, and you can get benefit out of it. So that brings us to the next question, Professor Arifuzzaman, which is why do highly intelligent people sometimes lack emotional intelligence?
Yeah, yeah. So high IQ people actually they mostly handle the logic, and uh, and they are very good at analytical ability, and because of their supremacy over this, data and the analytical ability or the logic, sometimes actually it clouds their judgment actually. So sometimes they misread the emotions of other people, because emotional intelligence, it deal with the emotion and the relationship. So high IQ people, because of their high level of analytical ability, they actually ignore this one. So that's why we call it actually blind spot sometimes. And another thing we have found that high IQ people mostly they achieve success during their initial stages of their life because of the IQ. So sometimes it makes them overconfident. So they misread the emotions of other people. So they feel that your performance solely depends on only your performance, but their social skills sometimes doesn't actually develop a lot. But in the I believe that in the modern or high quality education system, now they have incorporated the emotional intelligence from the very earliest stage. So I think that nowadays means like who are, I believe that maybe below 40 or 35, and if they're coming uh, out from a very good university, I believe that their IQ, EQ both will be very high. But uh, 20 years before, actually, the emotional intelligence were not understood, or it was ignored. So that's why the high IQ people were very much favored in the marketplace, but now no longer they are admired. So it happened that sometimes high IQ doesn't guarantee the self awareness. So they have the blind spot, and uh, when you don't have the self awareness, the emotional intelligence collapses. But I believe that within a very short time in the market, will not say many high IQ people with low EQ,
Because
because
they
good
are that.
business, good universities, they are ensuring. Yeah, they are giving a lot of importance nowadays.
Yeah, so they are being aware of it. Okay, I think I can relate to this. I can connect the dots in some other way based on what you are saying, because in marketing, I'm a marketing academic, dear audience, if you know. So in marketing, there is a bit of cold war between the right brain and left brain people, and they are normally known as the executive and marketers. So executives, they are driven by logic, and they want to see the figures in the bottom line. But the marketing people, they are more creative. So they try to see things in a different way. And there is a subtle cold war between them. But those who can use the whole brain, they are the people that, the Daniel Pink said that they are the people, they are going to dominate the fourth industrial revolution, because we got to be passionate, we got to have empathy, we should got to be able to see the big picture. But what you are saying, it's also important, because it's not about right brain or left brain now. There is another factor coming here, which is emotional intelligence. So it's not the logic that will drive, but you need to actually get a seat for the co-pilot, or maybe
Mm.
captain, whatever you say, and that's emotional intelligence. Okay, so that's fantastic. I think we are understanding the nitty-gritty of emotional intelligence from definitional perspective and the component perspective. So my next question, we are pretty much at end of our sort of episode, because we are trying to keep it short, bite size. But let me ask you the next question, which is, how can we really tell that someone has emotional intelligence truly? So is there any
Yeah.
behaviors that can point out that this person is emotionally intelligent?
Yes, wonderful question. Because through our conversation, the audience, I believe that they have started, understanding, or they are curious that whether they are emotionally intelligent or not. So for them, I will share some very interesting points that emotionally intelligent people, they remain composed under pressurized situation. first one. And they listen without judgment, and they take accountability instead of blaming. So, and they also adjust their style based on their person and the situation. So we call it actually emotional flexibility or brain's flexibility. And they makes other feel valued and safe. So these are actually some of the traits or behavioral patterns we can look for in people to understand that whether they're emotionally intelligent or not. So these are the actually 5 things that we can observe, and based on that we can sense that whether the person is emotionally intelligent or not.
So that's fascinating. That's sort of a checklist for us. So we can also really evaluate us that how emotionally intelligent we are on a day-to-day basis if we look at these criteria or KPIs. Okay, so my next question, is what is the easiest way to explain EI to a child or a new manager? And I'm so fascinated about this question because I do admire one of the leaders in the Europe, who is Richard Branson. And Richard Branson, what he does, he calls the innovators and he asks them to write their idea on the back of a postcard. He said that if you cannot express your idea on the back of a postcard, it's complex enough, it's not understandable. Same thing has been told by Einstein, that if you cannot explain something to a 6-year-old, you actually do not understand. So can you explain this thing to a 6-year-old or back of the postcard today?
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the analogy and the metaphor. So yes, for a child, I will use this concept like you have to focus only on 2 things: that you have to be smart with your feelings, smart with your feelings, and you have to be kind with the emotions or the feelings of the other. So you have to be smart means like what I am going to do with my feeling, that is important. And for other people, we cannot be too quick to judge. So we have to be kind, we have to give them the benefit of doubt, we have to give them the opportunity to explain themselves. So sometimes it happened that we go to the interrogative mode and we go to defensive mode when we listen to other people. So these 2 things for the child. And for the new manager, it's all about reading the emotion of yours, reading yourself, and reading the room, and then respond in a matter actually that builds a trust and get the result. So this response part is very important, the how we are responding. So we have to focus that our response should build a trust, not break it, and it should get the results for the organization.
Yeah, okay, that's fantastic, because otherwise there is no point understanding it if your response is not correct. So that's fascinating. Professor Arifuzzaman, thank you so much for sharing your insights with such a clarity and honesty. I'm deeply moved. I'm certain that everyone watching now or later will find tremendous value in today's conversation. Dear audience, our goal is to contribute to your intellectual growth through meaningful adda and deep conversation. If you haven't yet, please subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming sessions. With that, we conclude our today's episode 2. Goodbye. Thank you very much, Professor Arifuzzaman.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Moin, for the wonderful opportunity.